Hey everybody, my children and my niece and nephew. Um, Today's video is dedicated to you like all of them. I want to talk about learning about your history and your culture and your country's history. You know, we walk around in a bubble. We're all trying to grow up and learn and be our own people. And when you're young, you're not necessarily thinking about the past. You're trying to make today work, you know? And you feel like whatever happened was in the past. But it's a part of who you are, it's a part of your makeup. What your ancestors went through, that's a part of your history. You cannot know who you are until you learn about what happened to your ancestors, to the people before you. You can't understand your parents without understanding their parents and so forth. What they may have gone through, what your grandparents may have gone through. And sometimes history has a way of repeating itself. And unless you know what your grandparents went through, your ancestors went through, you're not going to know that history is repeating itself. You're not going to be prepared. When I was younger, I asked a lot of questions of everybody. And I've got different stories from everyone else. And it was really hard to know what the truth was. But I asked the questions. And little by little, the more I learned about my culture, the more I learned about my family and everybody in it, I learned a lot of things. Some good, some bad, right? But at least I know. I know some of it. There are some parts that I wish I knew, like my grandma on my dad's side. I didn't have a relationship with her because she lived in Puerto Rico, and I only saw her when she visited New York. And I was too young to know that I should ask questions and I should learn everything about her. I loved her. I loved seeing her. But I didn't know anything about her, and I still don't. And I wish I had. And I had a grandpa who I didn't know much either. And it's a long story, but I was a little afraid of him just because. I'll tell you one day. But I didn't know anything about him either. I have to rely on the people that knew him to tell me about him and about my grandma. Now, thankfully, I have a grandma that's still left, and she has told me a lot. A lot. And it has put a lot of things into context for me, And it's important for you to know. While you have the people in your life, ask questions. Learn about them. Learn what makes them tick and learn about their histories and all of the struggles that they went through and all of the trials and tribulations, and learn from their mistakes so that you don't make the same mistakes. Some people do not understand me, partially because they love me, but they don't know what to do with me, right? I have mental health issues that I have under control, but they still handle me with kid gloves. And if I'm having a rough time, sometimes I feel judged. Sometimes I feel like they're looking at me like. But I get passionate about certain things, especially when it matters to my children and their future, and my niece and nephew and their future. And it may not make sense to them because to them, they think I'm, I don't know, causing trouble or speaking out or whatever, and I shouldn't be worried about certain things in this country and what's going on, and I should just live my life and just cut off the news. But I'm not. Because the world that I leave behind is partially my responsibility. I could die tomorrow and I'll be happy. I can't wait to go to heaven. I can't wait. But while I'm here, I want to make sure that the world, the country, the government that we leave behind is a good one for them and for their kids and their kids' kids. You know? And now that they don't live with me, I feel I can get more involved because I really wasn't involved with a lot of things like politics because I was busy raising kids, working full-time job, and running a household by myself. But now I can. And what I'm seeing, I'm not liking. So I'm speaking out. And I have videos. And I have channels, you know. Now, it's a little discouraging because I would have maybe expected more followers by now, right? Because I have family. I have tons of family. My grandma had 10 kids, really 9 because one of them passed away when she was little. And another uncle of mine passed away, rest his soul. And, you know, I have a lot of people on Facebook and all of this, and they see my videos. And to this day, like, you know, I get a little touchy about it. I don't have as many subscribers as I thought. You know, and I feel like if it was my family member, I would support them, right? But that's neither here nor there. That's another topic. But even still, I'm going to keep going. Like I said in my political channel, you know, the political support group on YouTube, that if I can at least change one mind, I'm happy. You know, I'm happy. Because it just takes changing one person to change another in their family and another one in their family. And maybe that can grow into some change. You know, Jesus died for all of us. He was one person. There were a lot of people that were against him, that wanted to take him out, that, you know, hated him. But he still kept on. He still kept on with the message. He still, you know, helped people and performed miracles and all of those things. And even he saw that the world was not good. And he had to do something. He had to sacrifice himself to save his children. You know? And I get it now. I get it. You know? My message may not be popular amongst most people. I have people that believe totally different than me. But if I could change one life, I'm happy. Jesus didn't give up. I'm not either. Until I'm gone. You know? And I just want you to know that your past and your culture, your family, and everything you guys have been through means a lot. You know, it's the foundation, no matter how terrible it is, you know? And that way, you can break generational curses. You can be better than the last generations. You can improve upon the life of your children. And then they can improve upon the life of their children. And there's nothing that matters more to me than my children, my niece, and my nephew. And I've always encouraged them to, you know, look up their past. You know, my nephew has, I believe, 2, maybe 3 Native American cultures in him. And I've always encouraged him to learn as much as he could about them. You know, and my children, I send them videos. I don't know if they listen to them, but maybe one day when I'm gone, they will see my videos and they will realize why I have been buck wild about some shit. You know? Because it's important for them to know. They may not be ready for it now, but maybe one day. And if I die tomorrow, I at least want them to know my side. You know? At least. And maybe they can get further than me. Maybe my great grandchildren, great 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 grandchildren, can have it better than me, better than my mom, my grandma, my great grandma. You know? So just think about that. I just wanted to talk about that because we should all know where we came from. And I strongly believe that if a lot of people looked into their past, their ancestors, and what they did, things would be very different in this political landscape. Maybe. You know? And when you're done looking into yourself and your culture and all of that, maybe you will look into other cultures and realize they maybe have had the same struggles. I didn't know. Like a lot of the Latin American countries, even America, South America, North America, and South America, had the same struggles as our culture did. And that just puts it into perspective for me and what's important, you know? In the meantime, I want to try my best to love like Jesus loved. I've always tried to do that. I have my moments, but I accept everyone, even the ones that are not good, that are way different than me in their beliefs and are hateful. I still accept them for who they are because that's who they are. I don't discriminate when I'm a nurse. I do my job, and I'm there. And I'm there to share the love of God when I'm in there. You know, even if they don't agree with me, even if they don't accept me, at least they know that I'm humble and I'm there to help. And a lot of the times, it really has made a breakthrough in their view of Puerto Ricans, of Hispanic people. You know? So think about it. God bless. Love my children. Love my niece and nephew. Always.